Thousands of them, microscopic, gripping fiber after fiber after fiber. A gloved hand presses two strips together. They catch. They hold. In a place where nothing is supposed to stay put, where a dropped pen doesn't fall, it floats. That catch is the difference between a checklist you can read and a checklist drifting behind an instrument panel forever. It held watches to sleeves. It held sample bags to a tool harness. It held down almost everything inside a spacecraft that wasn't bolted to the frame because in zero gravity, put it down isn't a real option. You've probably already decided what this is. A NASA invention. Something engineered in a lab for astronauts, because nothing this useful could have come from anywhere else. You're only half right, and the half you're wrong about is the interesting half. This is Velcro. It wasn't built in a lab. It wasn't built for a spacecraft. It was built almost 20 years before NASA existed at all. In 1941, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Mestral came back from a walk in the Alps with his dog. Both of them were covered in burrs, the small, spiky seed pods of the burdock plant, the kind that catch on wool socks and dog fur and refuse to let go no matter how hard you brush. Most people pick the burrs off and forget about it by dinner. De Mestral didn't. He took one home, put it under a microscope, and looked closely enough to actually see why it worked. The burr wasn't sticky. It was mechanical, covered in hundreds of tiny hooks, each one built to catch on anything with a loop, a wool fiber, a strand of fur, a thread of clothing. He asked the question most people never bother asking about the things stuck to their pants. If nature already solved this, why couldn't it be built on purpose? The idea took about 30 seconds. Making it work took a decade. De Mestral could copy the loop side of the burr easily enough. That part was just woven fabric. The hook side was the problem. Every loop had to be cut at a precise angle to curl into a working hook, and doing that by hand, consistently, at scale, was nearly impossible. Early batches failed constantly. Hooks too big for the loops too flimsy to hold the hooks, whole strips that wouldn't grip at all. The breakthrough, oddly enough, came from a barbershop. Watching a barber's clippers cut hair at a fixed, repeating angle gave de Mestral the idea for a cutting mechanism that could do the same thing to woven loops consistently, strip after strip. There was a second accident along the way. While testing fabrics with a weaver in Lyon, France, a thread of nylon got mixed in with the materials being tested, and nylon turned out to be exactly what the hooks needed. Mechanizing the whole thing, building looms that could weave and cut hooks and loops at a scale beyond a workshop table, took roughly 10 years, start to finish. By 1951, de Mestral had something worth protecting. He filed for a Swiss patent that year, and it was granted on March 16, 1954. A US patent followed on September 13, 1955. The name people actually remember came from French, not patent paperwork. Velours, meaning velvet, and crochet, meaning hook. Velcro, a word built the same way the product was. Two different things, interlocked. Here's the part that doesn't match the myth at all. When Velcro actually reached the market, it didn't take off. It landed with a shrug. De Mestral expected the fashion industry to want it immediately. Instead, clothing manufacturers were skeptical of a material they'd never worked with before, and early production runs weren't always reliable. The grip wasn't always as strong as promised, and there were real, embarrassing failures in early garments that used it. For most of the late 1950s, Velcro was a shop curiosity, not a global product. If the story had ended there, you'd have never heard of it. Velcro didn't get its reputation from fashion, it got it from space. Starting in the 1960s, NASA engineers began using Velcro throughout the Apollo program. Velcro strips secured checklists to instrument panels, held sample collection bags to tool harnesses on the lunar surface, fastened watches and mirrors to spacesuit sleeves, and lined the interior of both the command and lunar modules almost everywhere. Something needed to stay exactly where an astronaut left it. It even solved a problem nobody designs a spacecraft around: astronauts, sealed inside a helmet for hours, occasionally needed to scratch and itch. Small Velcro patches placed inside the helmet's feed port gave them something to press their nose or face against, a fix so simple that Apollo-era crews came to rely on it. None of this means NASA invented Velcro. It means NASA found a problem Velcro happened to be perfect for, 20 years after it already existed. The myth just skipped the first 20 years. In 1978, de Mestral's original patent expired. Under patent law, that's the moment protection ends, and competitors are legally free to make the same thing. They did, immediately and everywhere. Cheaper hook and loop fasteners flooded in from manufacturers with no connection to the original company, and by the time they arrived, Velcro had already become the word most people used for the entire category, the same way Kleenex gets used for any tissue, or Band-Aid for any adhesive bandage. The company hadn't just built a product, it had accidentally built a generic noun, and generic nouns are dangerous for a trademark. Legally, a brand name the public treats as the common word for a whole category can lose its trademark protection entirely. The threat never went away, and the company is still actively fighting it. In 2017, Velcro companies released a viral campaign called Don't Say Velcro, a music video featuring a chorus of the company's own trademark lawyers, singing that people should stop using Velcro as a noun or a verb and start saying hook and loop instead. It's a strange kind of victory lap, an invention so successful it became the word for its entire category, and so successful that success is now the exact thing threatening to take its name away. The most ordinary objects carry the most extraordinary weight. You just have to know where to look. Here on Wonder Raft, we look. Subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.